I hope you don't get the sickness.
My boy Kurt is a stay-at-home dad, watching Disney movies he never had. His daughter digs through all the VHS, crushing the classics in a princess dress. Informed like Scuttle, Kurt's got your ticket, making it real like Jiminy Cricket. Most off the Captain Hook, but if the Tweedle dumb, he'll be taking more shots than Bambi's mom. Leaves him raised like Simba, or cracked like the beast dishes. He'll show you a whole new world, you won't need 3 wishes. Stay-at-home Disney dad.
Did Disney buy the Jim Henson Library at some point? I really don't know. I should know, but I don't know. Doing these reviews and not knowing like 90% about Disney as a company isn't a gimmick. I'm watching these for the first time. I have no idea what Disney owns and what they don't and when they bought it, and it doesn't matter. Christmas week 3, The Muppet Christmas Carol. I would love to rent a movie theater on Christmas Eve some year and just show every version of a Christmas Carol ever made. I'm talking like a 12-hour marathon with Mr. Magoo and this Muppets one and the Looney Tunes one and the Scrooge McDuck one and the live one and the... I'm sure there's more, but maybe I overshot with 12 hours. Yeah, this one starts with a mind-bending blend of Muppets, or puppets living around humans in a regular city. So there's a real city with real people, and yet somehow these puppets flawlessly interact and mingle in the real world without you seeing arms and wires. Just incredible. I remember my grandma and grandpa going off about how crazy the logistics of making the old actual Muppet Show must have been. They loved the Muppets. Good memories. Movie time. Credits over top the rooftops. Gonzo is Charles Dickens and Rizzo the Rat are our narrators. Scrooge comes in, everyone is singing a song about what a jerk he is. That's what I never understood about musicals. So do all these townspeople secretly get together after hours and practice this song? They spend all this time and effort perfecting a song about how much of a jerk someone else is. So maybe ask yourself who the real jerks are. Next time you watch any musical, think about how much practice these characters must have done to pull off any of their impromptu songs that just kind of magically happen. Okay, do I have to explain the storyline? Kermit is Cratchit, Scrooge is Alfred, it's Christmas Eve, and some Muppet begs for a mortgage extension, and Scrooge physically picks him up and chucks him in the snow. That's funny. Okay, bookkeeping staff ask for more coal and are denied. His simpleton nephew shows up, and I know this is going to be lost on like everybody watching, but in our local pool here of Saskatoon actors, one year a buddy of mine was picked to play the dumb nephew in our local production. And it's not dumb, just like, it may have been the most perfect casting in the history of casting. Like, he was born to play that role. I'm sorry I called him dumb. He's not dumb. Okay, here the nephew is played by a human as well. Got to keep track and try to figure out who's a Muppet and who's not. Beaker and the green one come in and ask for a charitable donation, and that's the thing about Muppets. You recognize them all, but only the hardcore fans can actually name them. Seriously, what's the name of the eagle? How about the 2 old geezers? The troll of the show, what are their names? This green guy that wants a donation, I have no idea what his name is, but I know, I've seen him. Scrooge scrooges and tosses the charity folk outside. A tiny rabbit comes to the door and he's caroling. And the perspective of Scrooge staring down at him is just incredible. Great camera work. Scrooge slam dunks the wreath onto him and slams the door. Everything the Muppets do is a Muppet's victory. Scrooge tells the bookkeepers to be there Christmas morning at 8:30. Kermit balks. Scrooge offers half a day off. Sadness. Scrooge asks what people usually get off for Christmas. Kermit says a full day. Scrooge flips, and the bookkeeper mice hilariously toss Kermit under the bus. A full day? That was the frog's idea. Awesome. Kermit breaks into song, Rainbow Connection. It ain't. If you can constantly not take the logistics of each and every scene for granted, like if you can prevent yourself from never becoming desensitized to how difficult staging every shot with the actors and puppets and backgrounds and foregrounds, you will watch this whole movie with your jaw open. Kermit goes home, we follow Scrooge home, and Gonzo and the rat appear. We're reminded that the Marley family are dead and decaying in their graves. Wonderful. Next up is the doorbell face scare, and Jacob Marley is going to be played by one of the geezers. I'm in. Scrooge is paranoid and the grumpy old man appears. Brother ghosts Jacob and his brother. Pretty sure there was only Jacob, but I don't care. This is great. They're ghostly white and in chains, and they laugh, and the characters still act like they did when they were alive, like in the regular Muppet Show, which is great. They break into song about how they were just as mean as Scrooge is in real life. They tell him he will be haunted by 3 spirits, and we're off. This is awesome. There actually are no bad versions of A Christmas Carol if you really think about it. They're all great. Scrooge is in a deep sleep and we get a visit from the first spirit. And here we go. Is it going to be Fozzie or Miss Piggy or a Swedish chef? I'm excited to see who they choose to. What the f*** is this? This nightmare factory takes Scrooge by the hand and flies him over the city into the past. We fly into beautiful sunlight and snowy trees. We visit young Scrooge, and he doesn't like to play. He spends his time being alone and antisocial and introverted, and by today's standards, this would be celebrated. But we continue. Scrooge says nothing ever changed. The devil girl says, you changed. I know if I lifted her mask, her eye sockets would be full of spiders and snakes. Narrator says, the years performed their terrible dance. Bam. Let me say that again. The years performed their terrible dance. That is a line. The giant bluebird tells Scrooge to work hard and keep his nose down, and now he's become a man of business. And he keeps saying business, and I'm getting a sarcastic vibe here that business isn't as great as the bird is making it sound. Now he's on a city street staring at a building he hasn't seen in years. Fozziewig's old rubber chicken factory, and I'm reminded what I'm actually watching here. There's Fozzie Bear. The party is a success. Fozziewig has a Christmas speech which is just Merry Christmas, and everyone loves it because it's short, and that is a wonderful dig at office parties and the predictably long and uncomfortable speeches you always get. Young Scrooge runs into the beautiful Belle played by a real person, a girl. Then we jump ahead a few Christmases and they're dating, and he's out in the snow with her. Another year and he won't put a ring on it. Now she breaks into song, and somehow the puppets lip sync better than she does. Okay, well, that actually makes sense. I guess a puppet doing this would be more believable with the audio laid over top, and you wouldn't, it doesn't matter again. Okay, it's great. She sings and she leaves. She leaves him because he loves money more than her. The scene fades, and he's back in his room or bed chamber. Now it's 2 a.m., and Scrooge knew the second of the ghosts was to appear, so here we go. The giant ghost. Scrooge's house is turned into a buffet as the Ghost of Christmas Present arrives. The cinematographer is working overtime with perspectives, making Scrooge look small in front of this giant Muppet. Hey, have you ever known how everything seems wonderful at Christmas? The truth of that line makes me smile. He's going to take him out into the world. It's Christmas morning, and everyone is cheery and happy, and we get another song. I get it. Music is part of the Muppets, but these musical interludes really drag this movie to a halt at times. This song gets a pass. This is a happy Christmas song. More of this, please. He sees his nephew and his family celebrating Christmas morning. They want to play a game. Scrooge asks, do people play games at Christmas? Here they do. It's called Let's Pretend, like all extended family members. What? They play Guess Who I'm Thinking About. They slowly list off horrible human qualities until someone guesses Ebenezer Scrooge. Ouch. You like apples, Scrooge? How do you like them apples? Next up, they go to the poor edge of town and they see the Cratchit family. Piggy is Miss Cratchit, and they have a bunch of little frogs and Piggy kids. Funny moment is when Piggy can't tell her kids apart. Next, we see Bob, Kermit Cratchit, and little Kermit. I want to say Robin as Tiny Tim. They're singing, and it sounds like a pentatonic song. Despite how poor they are, Kermit toasts his employer Scrooge. Piggy curses Scrooge. For some reason, this is the first telling of A Christmas Carol that I kind of feel bad for Scrooge. I don't know why. Usually I don't flip until he's begging atop his own grave, but here I already feel kind of bad for this guy. Watching the Cratchits sing a song, it ends with Tiny Tim coughing, and Scrooge is really shaken up. He asks if Tiny Tim will live or die, and the Ghost of Christmas Present says, he will die. And then quotes Scrooge repeating what he said to the folks at the beginning of the movie who were asking for charitable donations. Quote, decrease the surplus population, end quote. Scrooge is a changed man already and begs the spirit to stay, but instead the spirit twinkles and fades and leaves Scrooge in a graveyard. And it's on. Here we go. Let's do this. I love this scene in every version. It's always just to the walls, unflinchingly dark, like across the board. This scene just has the freedom to be as uncomfortable as they want it to be. It's like some unwritten rule. Disney, Looney Tunes, Magoo, all terrifying. Scrooge begs at the feet of the spirit of Christmas future, who, yup, is an empty, hooded Grim Reaper. They go through the vortex and merge into the rain, and the townspeople are making fun of him and celebrating his death, but Scrooge is in denial and is like, whose death? Who do they speak of? They include the scene where the grave robbers pawn his stuff, and I've only ever seen that in the Mr. Magoo special so far. Crazy. Scrooge figures out it's him, and he's broken. He begs to see some joy and love, and this version of the future, and ends up at Bob Cratchit's house. He's comforted because it's a house of joy and love, but no! Tiny Tim is dead! Tiny Tim is dead! Tiny Tim is dead! He didn't make it! Merry Christmas! You're a miserable sort. Yeah, you know. Quick aside, A Christmas Story is just really, really well written. Bob takes longer walking home from work these days. It talks about how beautiful the grave plot will be for Tim. Kermit tells us life is made up with meetings and partings. No, No, thank you. We're back in the graveyard. Let's take another run at this. Drag me deeper into the darkness if you have to. Scrooge asks, who is the wretched man whose death brought so much glee and happiness to others? It's your grave, bud. He asks if events can be changed. Scrooge starts backpedaling as he brushes away the dust on his tombstone, and it's his own gravestone. He begs, he pleads, he's not the man he was. He will honor Christmas. He will not shut out the lessons the Spirit have taught him. He begs and he grovels and suddenly lands on the floor of his bedroom in the sunlight. The cartoons really drag out the horror of that scene compared to this version, but Scrooge is indeed a changed man. He throws open his window, knocks Gonzo and the rat off the windowsill, which is really funny. He leans down and asks the little rabbit thing what day it is. Why, it's Christmas Day. We have the scene where he sends the rabbit to go get the prize turkey. Scrooge rains shillings down on him and tells him to take it to Bob Cratchit's house. He's running around town like a goofball, wishing everyone Merry Christmas. This is fun. He runs into the charity donation folk and makes things right. Beaker gives Scrooge his red scarf as a thank you. Weird. Never seen that happen before in any version. He gets a scarf. Does that happen in the book? Scrooge now sings and the townspeople join in. He does a tour and leaves gifts for his bookkeepers and hugs his imbecile nephew and wife and heads towards the Cratchit house. He bangs on the door and pretends to be angry. Piggy pops out and is about to tear a strip off and just tell him what's what. But Scrooge says he's going to raise Kermit's salary and pay his mortgage and invites him to join him for a turkey dinner. And everyone bursts in with a giant turkey and they cheer, and Tiny Tim lived and Scrooge became his second father, and Tiny Tim nails the God bless us everyone line. The city bursts into song and the camera tracks backwards, up and up and up and back out of the houses and into the sky in an amazing single shot. Michael Crane was Scrooge, and this is me trying to think of a Dark Knight line that works to end this movie on a high note. Let's put it together. Muppet Christmas Carol and Dark Knight. Damn it. Some men just want to watch the world burn. Yeah! Merry Christmas! Okay, next week, our final week of Christmas movies. Nice.
That's what I think about.
What do you think?
What we have is a concern about Curtis Anderson. His interviewing style is not the best. His personal appearance is not the best. I was wondering if the man has some kind of a hold over the channel